Okay, hell yeah. What is up, everyone? I'm Evan Bacon, creator of Expo Router, and I am here in beautiful South Padre Island, ready to watch the SpaceX Starship rocket launch. So good. But we're also streaming because it is launch week. I did not plan these two things to be called launch week and to be at the rocket launch, but this is where we're at. I mean, you can see that it looks. It's a Texas beach. It's not like California or Florida or anything like that, but it is awesome. So yeah, here's what I think we should do today. We are going to be talking about the new Expo DOM components feature, which is fantastic. Just came out with SDK 52. Actually, let me just share my screen here while I do this, because that'll make this a little bit easier, I think. Yeah, entire screen. Let's go. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about this new Expo DOM components feature. I mean, this is like super magical. It's crazy. If like when I first heard about React and React Native, I built like a little website with React, and then I heard React Native, and I was like, oh man, you can take this and run it on native. And it was like, no, that's not how this works at all. But now with DOM components, it kind of is. Like, it probably should have been like this from the get-go. So what you can do is you can just write some web code, mark it with use DOM at the top, and now all of this code will run inside of a web view inside of your app, which is fantastic for incremental migration. Because I mean, there's just like, I mean, there's millions, hundreds of millions, maybe billions of websites, so much web code out there, and a lot of fantastic stuff. So it's like, can we migrate that over to native? And then, once it's in there, we can go component by component up the tree, converting things over to native. So we're going to try a little bit of that today. But we also just announced the developer preview for React Server components as Expo Router's RSC offering. And this is far more experimental. You can ship all the DOM components to production today. Should work just fine. If it doesn't, let us know. But this new RSC support, way more experimental, but also super interesting. So this brings us, and this is probably like the last directives we'll do, right? But this brings the use server directive. So with this, what you can do is go into a file, mark the file with use server, and then you can have these async exports. And these are server functions. They used to be called server actions. React team renamed them to server functions. So you can think of these as basically like API routes, right? When you call this function on the client render profile, then that will make a network request, which will resolve to whatever we return. From that, you can return things like JSX. So you can just return image. And then that image, in order to render that on the server and stream it back, is a server component. So what that means is that you could basically just come in here, do all your data fetching, use secrets. I mean, there's really never been a great way to do secrets. Like when people do secrets with like environment variables, they tend to just tell you, don't put this in the client, but then they don't tell you like where to put it. So people end up putting it in the client, and then it's easy to extract it. You can extract it from the network request. You can extract it from the binary. And then you can just max out a key. If it's something like the OpenAI key where there aren't like the same permissions as maybe say some other things, then you can, it's basically just like free OpenAI usage. And people have tweeted about getting their stuff taken. So with this, you could just put the key in here, never goes to the client, super secure, and you can rotate it whenever you like. Pretty fantastic. So we're gonna get into all this. Oh yeah, and then in order to use the server function over here on the client, what you would do is you would just pull it in, wrap it in React Suspense, render it with fallback. So yeah, let's just jump right in, build some stuff. I'll keep an eye on the chat here, see if there's any questions already. See Cedric's in here. Cedric, total badass, how's it going? React server components, server functions, already insane. Yeah, so again, server components are in developer preview. Another feature that's in developer preview is that you can use server components with DOM components, which is pretty magical. We're gonna talk about that as well. So let's see, yeah, just to get started here, let's do Bunex, create Expo. Let's just call it like SpaceX launch. All right, so now we're gonna create this Expo app in here. And now we've got our app. Let's open this up. let's open it up in VS Code. We might switch to cursor a little bit later. I've got my notes back here, so we're just gonna create app, use some DOM, do some Tailwind server functions, the works. You'll see, it'll be great. And the launch is at 4. So I've got less than 4 hours to finish this app, finish the stream, race down the street, run down the beach or whatever, and then try to catch the launch. So yeah, we'll be a little hasty. All right, inside of here, let's see. Let's just go ahead and start this up. I'm always switching between the two. So we'll do npx expo, open up the dev server, launch it on the simulator. I was just debugging someone's issue on GitHub. All right, so now we've got our Expo app running right here. So right off the bat, let's try to use some DOM components. Actually, I also want to run this on web. I hit W, open this up on web. Get that running. All right, so we've got the website and we've got the app over here. And now let's go and just use a DOM component really quickly. Up here at the top, we can mark this with use DOM. If we save this and reload it, there might be 1 or 2 issues with it just running inside of a DOM component. No, it looks good. All right, so now this is running inside of a web view. If we go over to the web version, it's still just running on web. What happens is that the reason why the use DOM directive works so well here is because this allows us to do a lot of extra setup on native, which we can then just completely scrub away when we're running on web. So you can really have code that is super optimized for web. And you can just build a website. Like if you're thinking like, okay, I want to build something really quickly, test it out, you can do that with a website and then start working your way back towards making it a native app. In this case, we just started universal and we're kind of going in whichever direction. I had another stream where I converted my whole blog, which is a website, over to native with this, and it worked fantastically. But anyway, so yeah, we've got this website here. Another thing we can do with the website, we can pop open Safari, go to develop, and we should see the inspector on top of our website here inside of the native app. So we can like reload it. We can look at the elements inside of here. We can kind of, I mean, we could also just get the clicker here, click on like welcome. We could change this live, throw some more exclamation points. So like pretty powerful, pretty awesome. But again, incremental migration, that's the key here. So yeah, let's see, okay, let's use some Tailwind inside of here. Best way to set up Tailwind is if you just go to the Expo docs, go in here, go Tailwind. We've got some instructions that you can follow. So we can do this line, which I think actually needs to be updated because now as of SDK52, we do add, and then you can do dash 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 dev. So the extra, like this barrel thing here, just forwards this to the underlying command. So we do bun add dash dash dev. Then we can do this npx tailwind init dash p. And that's going to create the Tailwind file in our post CSS config file. We just copy this Tailwind config in here. And right now it's only targeting the app folder. So we'll just add some curly braces and say target components. Probably a bit better if we move to source, but time is of the essence. Let's do global CSS. So we want to create a root global.css. This is all very standard on web. This is how you set this up if you're using like basically any other tool. Like we had to kind of go out our way to add like post CSS support in order to make it just like any other tool. And then we can import our global file and we have the tsconfig path set up. So if we save that, now we should have Tailwind running. We might have to restart the server, but we'll try that in a second. So let's just add some Tailwind code to this index here real quick. Let's just Tailwind title or something. See if Copilot generates that. Okay, kind of. It's using these themed views. Let's just change these to divs. Okay, so we do have a little Tailwind title in here. And now if we switch over to native, you'll notice it looks like it's unstyled here. It's not styled. The reason for that is that when we have this use DOM boundary at the top, this is its own JS entry point. So the globals that we added here, like this global CSS, do not exist inside of here. We need to reinstantiate whatever globals exist. So we'll just pull that import into here. And now we have our Tailwind title working just fine over here and over here. And yeah, now we got some Tailwind running inside of our DOM component. You can use native Tailwind with native wind, which just rolled out v4. It's fantastic. Maybe we'll get into that today, but I think we'll just stick to default styles for today, or whatever. I think we'll do a bit of prompting. We'll see what happens if we keep prompting. Let's see, add more cool Tailwind views. Let's try that. I'm doing this command I GitHub Copilot thing. If you guys like contribute to open source, then they just give you like Copilot for free. It's kind of like Cursor, but yeah, we'll maybe switch over to Cursor and see how that goes. Okay, added for some cool stuff. It gave me this like green box and red box. I'm not like, yeah, whatever. It's cool. It's hip. Let's delete some of that. Okay, what else we got here? We've got side of here. All right. Use DOM, set up Tailwind, server functions. All right, baby, let's go. Server functions, it is time. So yeah, let's just go. I guess we can go into our components, or we can create like a functions. Let's just create a functions directory. And here we can do like, I don't know, let's do something like, yeah, render info. Sure. Add use server to the top. Export async function. Let's just do like render Pokemon, because the Pokemon API works pretty great. Fetch data from Pokemon API and render be a beautiful list with Tailwind. Okay, so you start to see here where GitHub Copilot's not quite as good as Cursor. Oh man, yeah, let's delete some of that. Actually, let's just delete all this, switch over to Cursor. I'm not feeling like wrestling with this right now. Let's go Cursor dot. If you guys haven't used Cursor, it's fantastic. AI code editor, uses Claude, great model. I love using GitHub Copilot too. I hope that they don't take my free usage away, but yeah, this is the way for me right now. So yeah, we can grab all this, and then I guess we just edit. Oh, it's now Command Shift K. Whoa, changed even between today and yesterday. All right, yeah, fetch some Pokemon data and render in list with Tailwind. If you add beautiful, it just like, yeah, it can really clean it up. Oh, we were chatting now. I guess I wanted just the edit. Render info. Okay, yeah, add it. Okay, sure, accept that. We'll just, so you see why there's big benefit to using some DOM components with some server components here. Let's just get this like running and rendering, pump up the font a little bit. All right, now to use this server component, what we're going to want to do is we'll just come down here and we'll do like react.suspense. Add a fallback. The fallback can be null, which the fallback just shows like while the promise inside is rendering. Another thing you could do is activity indicator from React Native Web. And then yeah, render Pokemon. Pull that in. We're just going to invoke it like a function here. There's going to be a little type error, and that's because this promise element is not allowed in React 18. What we can do is just go / reference types React / canary, and now it's fine. Just use React canary types in this file. So now we've pulled that in, we're rendering it. Object's not valid, and then over here, object's not valid. So what's the problem? No, the error didn't help us much, but the problem is that we didn't turn server functions on. We need to actually enable the feature. So we'll go here into the app.json. In the future, this will be on by default, right? For now, we go React server functions, true. And then we'll also remove output static because this only works as single page applications right now, just during the developer preview. And I'm going to kill the server inside of VS Code, probably just shut VS Code down for now. All right. And then we'll just start it up here in Cursor. Linux Expo. So yeah, when it's running, we'll see a bunch of these like custom module resolution, React canaries used, server functions are enabled. So we'll see a bunch of stuff. Command K, I see that. Yeah, I used the wrong cursor command in there. Let's see, go in here, try reloading this. All right, so we see the activity indicator spinning and then it fetches the data. Let's try this over here on the iPhone. Fetches, there it is. Oh man, I cannot tell you guys how excited I am for server components, even in developer preview, to be here, but not just be here, but also work with DOM components. Like this is kind of what I've always pictured for Expo Router. We have a lot of the pieces here. They're not quite in the right place, but the ability to just instantly fetch data like this securely and render it regardless of what kind of React code it is, and then just pull it down and use it without having to like do all this wonky like fetch with a relative like, oh, this is fantastic because we can also just come in here if we want and we can do some crazy stuff with this. Actually, let me show you guys some crazy, this is a kind of a tangent, but you know, we've got time because I'm moving like a hopped up squirrel, but we could do something like, let's create a button. And then basically inside of here, what I want to do is have a button that renders on the server. And when you touch the button, it should do something with the computer. Hopefully this, whatever I'm doing doesn't shut the computer or the stream down, but we can do something that just uses the computer. And in order to do that, what we're going to need is a server component with a server action, or sorry, server function and a client component. So in here, we'll just do like export async function render magic button. So let's do that. And now we can do something like return. Okay, if I can spell return. We could do just like return button. We'll do button from React Native right now. Whoa, okay, it's kind of freaking out here. Do magic server stuff. And then we can go on press. We'll give it a function, and then we'll do some of that. Now let's just render our magic button down here really quickly. So instead of our React suspense boundary, actually, let's just turn that off so we're not spamming the Pokemon API. React.suspense, fallback, render magic button. Okay, there we go. There we go. Actually import the magic button, save that. All right, so what we're going to see here is that we can't pass an event handler to a client component. I think it's like a little wonked out right now. But what that means is that like inside of here, button is a client component. So inside of button, wherever we're using it, it's marked at the top with use client. So that means that it has code that must run on the local device. That's going to be things like use state, really anything that's interactive, right? And with that, you can't pass a function down. It has to be serializable. So if we want to pass something down, what we can do is mark it with use server. What that's going to do is create a server function with this scope. So then when we press the button, it's going to recurse back into the server to do some sort of special action. So we'll do all this and see now it works. But I also want to just move this over to this custom button that we have here, be a little bit easier to explain. So we'll do use client button like this, except with button, let's just do, actually we can do button, whatever. And then we'll give it some props, title, on press. Whoa, did that? Okay, works. And then we're just gonna call this standalone, you know, like without passing the event data to the on press button, because the event data could cause an issue. So now we have our magic button, which just wraps it. And this is kind of what's going on behind the scenes with button here. So now everything that this imports will be a client component and we'll run on a client. So if we go ahead and import, let's just try, yeah, magic button. Give me that. I'll just change this button out for that button. All right. Now we have our button. We can click it. And then let's just do something like magic server stuff. So when we do this magic server stuff, what we're going to see is that here in the web console, where there's all these logs, there will not be any console log down here. we're going to see the console log over here in the terminal because this is the server, right? This is where like this scope is running logically. So it's running here on our computer. Now this won't, what I'm about to do does not work in production, but we'll just try this because I love doing this thing. Let's see, I think it's like, okay, all right, let's import AppleScript. This is just something that we use inside of Expo CLI, so we have access to it. So we'll do at expo/OSA script. Oh man, this is wonky. This is a very wonky hack. And then we'll do like exec async, right? That better not be a thing. Okay, exec async. And now this can run just like some AppleScript from our terminal. So let's do something like run AppleScript that does the hotkey. I think it's like control plus command plus C is the like a special loom key. So I think it's like tell application, man, the to use code key. Okay, maybe that control down, command down. We'll try that. And then I'm going to start the server from the terminal over here because this is going to have more permission to do things like running AppleScript. And now let's try reloading this. We'll see if this works. So we've got a button over here. Actually, I want to do it in the iPhone because, I mean, come on. Okay, let's try clicking this. Let's see what happens. Okay, it ran the magic server stuff. It did control command C. Okay, there it is. All right, so it shoots confetti like when we run this button. I think it's just like delayed a little bit. Actually, maybe the delay is all. Let's see. Tell. Yeah, let's just have it do it entirely with a prompt. Let's do Command K. Oh, okay. I mean, I don't think it's key code using control, but whatever. All right, there it goes. Yeah, so this now shoots confetti. So what's going on here is I could like pull this on my phone. What's going on here is that this block is just running like inside of my terminal. So it can just run some AppleScript and then just like call this loom command. This is just part of the loom app or whatever that is like globally installed. And then you can basically, so that's a very contrived, long-winded way to explain how server components work. You can do a lot of crazy stuff. Even with that, I mean, that's pretty like out there. But something you could do with that is like inside of Expo and our dev tools, we could send like, like an error box or something where it's like, React Native XYZ isn't installed. And then there could just be a button that you press inside of your dev client to like install that library and then rebuild the app, like trigger Expo CLI to do Expo run onto your device. So even though that might just be a dev only thing, it's just crazy that we could do that. We could ship it in a package and you can install it. Like the power here is just ridiculous. Anyways, we're trying to build a rocket launch app and we've only got so much time. So let's get on to actually doing that now. We've rendered some Pokemon. We've like launched some random confetti into the screen. But now let's get to the magic here. So how do we want to do this? Let's see. Okay, yeah, I mean, create an iOS style homepage. This kind of just feels like a prompt. Okay, so I tried this the other day just to find an API that worked because they were all a little outdated. So shout out to this one, the llspacedevs.com. Fantastic API here, which is going to do, okay, well, I mean, hopefully this just works. I'm pretty sure it'll work. So what I'm thinking is we just use this as a prompt and we just create some server components and some DOM components. We put these pieces together and we just make something. So we got all this. Let's refactor the app up a little bit first. So we don't really need the not found. For the layout, okay, I want to kind of move these around a little bit so that we have tabs at the root and stack deeper in, because that's like the right way to do this stuff. So let's just copy some of these tabs, drop it in here. Hopefully that works. Does that work? And then we'll just change this to like index. We could probably have an explore tab too. So let's change this to be index. and explore using the array syntax. That's just going to create two groups for us. Inside of here, let's just start this one, I guess, kind of from scratch. Export default layout. And then we'll make this a stack. That should work. Let's just reload this real quick. Okay, so now we've switched it around where we have tabs at the root and stack inside. So we have an individual stack for each tab for home and explore. And it looks like they're both just going to use home for the root. We can get around this by pulling in the segment prop. Let's do segment. And then segment, we'll just do, or I guess, yeah, we'll do like initial is segment.match. And then we just want to like get whatever inside of the brackets. So basically segment is going to be a value like index or explore. And what we want to do is go inside of here and do something like stack, and then we'll do name, and then we'll set this to the initial route. And so we want this to change dynamically based on which initial route we're on. Yeah, okay. So do this .1 initial name is a value, right? No, it's not. ID. Whoa. Oh, right. Stack.screen. One of those days, man. All right. So that should change it now, where it's basic screen component and default export at must have a name prop when used. All right, let's try reloading that. Okay, let's print this out, see what's going on. Initial, reload it, see what we got going on in here. So many logs, undefined. Okay. Segment not being passed through. Let's see. Oh wait, no, maybe it is being passed through and our regex. Yeah, our regex is wrong. We need a capture group inside of there. All right, there we go. So now explore and home. All right, so now we've got like the setup. We've got the right kind of layout going on here. Let's do some commit. Whip, just commit the changes. All right. Now, another thing I like to do is I like to just fix the header, get the nice big header going on in there. I just saved these options. I opened up PR into React Native Screens to make these options A, work, but B, a bit simpler to get the default, because we really just need like the best possible default to be what works all the time. That's definitely a priority. So now we got like this kind of large header thing, and it's got some blurry behind it, and it works nicely. Now you'll notice here it actually scrolls up correctly. In DOM components, we fixed it so that this works automatically. In React Native's default scroll view, it does not work automatically. We need to go in and fix that manually. But I think we'll just throw the explore page away for now because we probably only have time to do one page. But yeah, this is kind of how it should work, where you've got this nice scroll where like when you get to the top, it pulls the header down, and then you can like scroll under this blurry style up here. So yeah, we've got a good header, got a good footer, which is great because when you're working with like DOM components, for example, really like what matters with a web view is, in a lot of apps actually, is if you get the navigation right, the app feel like that does a lot of the heavy lifting to making the app feel native. And it's not just everything we have here. I think there's still room for more. Like we should have peek and pop probably just built into expo-router link, so that every link, if you like long press it, it should just like show you the context menu to the next view. Like that should preload the view, and it should feel like super, like everything should just feel very native wherever we can. So we got to figure out how to do that on Android, like what the Android equivalent is, and then we got to get that working just on iOS by default, because I think that would be fantastic. And then context menus, another thing that makes apps feel super native. Yeah, because I mean, if you have like a piece of text here and you render it native or you render it in web, that doesn't matter so much as like the push animations and the modals and like the deep linking and getting all that to just feel, you know, like like every other app, like from the stock OS provider. All right, let's do a little bit more here. First, let's give these some. Let's just give this a title. Launches. Actually, let's give this something. Launch week. There we go. So we got the launch week title, and now we need some like rocket content in here. Let's make some rocket content. Just delete all of this, and let's go react.suspense. Sure, go activity indicator. We got this render Pokemon. Let's change this from render Pokemon to actually render like render rockets. Yeah, render launches. Just delete some of this. Delete all this, and now I've got like this kind of this beautiful blank canvas here. Let's say, hey, render launches. All right, launch that. All right, and now I've got some server rendered code inside of a web view with some native navigation. That is a great blank canvas to be working with. Let's clean some of this up, just delete some of these styles. And now let's get to prompting. Okay, what was this? Actually, I could probably I just want to get the API actually, because that's the part that we really need. So let's select this API. Actually, yeah, let's just do the whole prompt here. I mean, that's pretty good. But I think we'll like prompt it up a little bit more. Edit. Yeah, what is this? Where'd my edit window go? Okay, Command Shift K. I love that this just changed like today of all days when I'm like, okay, yeah, let's try it. So let's say, yeah, reset the composer. Create an iOS style homepage for Rocket tracking app with React server components and using the API, style it with Tailwind, and wrap launch items with link component that directs to like /launches/ID. What else do we want in here? What else do we want? Sort by, yeah, I don't know. I think this is probably fine. We can do more here in a minute. Gonna like read some of these questions, comments while we're doing this. Why we always need this server component as function instead of component. So this is for the render Pokemon stuff. Why do we call it as a function? Because when we mark a file as use server, everything exported is a server function. It's not a server component. Server components is like this kind of other detail that we use to, it's really like the RC payload. And yeah, server functions is like goated. Server functions is the best part of server components. They deserve all the hype. Like they're the best part. Okay, let's see. Accept all. Let's see what we got here. Just close this down. Oh, it even like saved it for me. Okay, well, I mean, that's not like a super beautiful list. Oh, you know what? It probably doesn't. Does it have the Tailwind in there? Yeah, it should have Tailwind. Okay, I'm not loving this list with this horizontal scrolling and this no data. Let's try prompting like something else. And then, yeah, this like next revalidate info. Let's just switch over to Claude directly, have it prompt some of this. iOS style, home screen, iOS style. What do we want to call this? Homepage for a rocket launch tracking app. Display the upcoming launches beautifully with Tailwind and use the API. Yeah. Using React server components. Yeah, so let's give that a shot. Let's see what it comes up with here. Looks like temporary defaulting to concise responses. I do pay for Claude, so kind of wild that it's really difficult to get the launches. It's just going to pull some like fake data. Actually, it's probably fine. We don't want to spam the thing, but not a fan of that. Oh, I guess maybe it's the concise model. I mean, okay, that's not terrible, but I think we could do better. Let's see. Actually fetch data from, yeah, our API. Oh, it's even going to pull in some Lucid React and some Shad CN. Oh, man. Okay. We'll give that a try. We'll see how it goes. Going to use this time to answer some questions. Not as cool as Confetti, but can you connect to a database like MongoDB? Yes, you can indeed use this for useful technologies as well. Doesn't need to be Confetti. The problem with the like a database thing or any of these is really like I'm doing a stream, so if I were to like deal with an API key, I would need like a second monitor here so I could like do the API key over here, put it into the thing, so I'm not like sharing it as I'm putting it into the code. Okay, so it fetched again. Like, okay, don't use Shad CN and render in server components. Let's try, yeah, full responses. And fetch / render in server components without hooks. Let's see what else we got. Of DOM elements, server functions and stores, Apple, Android. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I quite understand the limitations part. I mean, like if you want to send code dynamically over, like with a web view, you can do that in much easier ways. The purpose of this is to render like you know, beautiful like native UIs with native interactions, native gestures. If you want to do insidious stuff, there's like much easier ways to do that. You don't need to use any of this technology, and those approaches all work in the store today. So I don't think like that should be a concern people have here. Export async. Let's see. What do we have here? Render launches. Whoa. Oh, I see. Okay. Well, man, cursor is totally different today than it was yesterday, which is a little upsetting. Render launches. Let's look through our code here. What do we got? Okay, fetch some data. Again with this revalidate stuff. No one wants it. Lucid React. I mean, we can install some Lucid React. But I think if we install Lucid React, what we're going to need to do is also turn on package exports. So expo customize, select metro config. Inside of here, in our config, we can do config.resolver let's see, exports, package exports, true. We got to turn this on by default. This is, we'll get there. We'll get there. Baby steps. Surprisingly, was easier to build all of server components than it was to turn on package exports by default. Let's see, so now we got Lucid React. We fetch our data, get our date stream, get this launch card. Okay, I wish it used a bit more typing in here. Okay, no way this is like super articulate, but we could give it a shot. Load some data. We got this. We'll circle back and improve the picker there. Okay, whoa. I mean, not great, not great. Let's clean this up a bit more. First thing is, I think, let's just try importing the globals in here as well. Fetches the data. Okay. Launch card. I'm just going to select all of this. Well, not all of it. let's select like from the launch card down. And then let's try prompting this to be a bit better. Can we just like, where's the fix thing or the refactor? Just watch me play with this live. Okay, yeah, I mean, we could do this. Okay. Rework the API, rework the UI to be prettier and look like an iOS app with scrolling horizontal sections. Yeah, maybe that's good enough for right now. Let's see. See, I don't need all the blabbering. I like the previous. Maybe someone like has it in here. Claude is better as ChatGPT for code. I mean, yeah, I'm using Claude 3.5 here. Why is he not using ChatGPT instead of Claude? I don't know. Well, I mean, yeah, we could pop into ChatGPT. We can give it a try. Let's tab to open. What do we got here? Okay, I guess it's like just editing all my files. Obviously, I don't want this suggested code. How do I like? I want to reject this shit and then just use this, accept this, and reject this. All right, what do we got here? I mean, that's not like incredible. Maybe we just build this the old-fashioned way manually. I mean, yeah, I don't think we're getting the best results out of AI today. But no problem. Actually, I'll give it one more shot with ChatGPT because I feel like, I mean, we're just generating a lot of code here. I think it's just like, yeah, unlucky pick of the models today. Let's do fetch this data. And then, yeah, we don't want the whole screen there. Actually, let's just leave a div in there so it gets like a hint about this cutting edge technology that we're using. I mean, I guess I am a little rough on it. We just like displayed all this new stuff that's never existed before. And then we're like, why can't it just know its way through? Okay, let's do this, do that. All that looks pretty good. Copy this. Let's try going into ChatJot, OpenAI. I have the following server component that fetches rocket launch data. Update the return function to render a beautiful. Just to, I don't know, pretty UI with React and Tailwind. Yeah, let's give it a try there. Let's see what it comes up with. Brent Van Nee, let's see your ChatGPT history. No, that is why I frantically reduced the window. Yesterday night, I had a White Claw and was looking up how to purchase 1,000 drones for a drone show. Actually, yeah, I mean, yeah, that is definitely in there. Let's see. I think I also looked up what were the breakthrough technologies required to make the iPod work. It's just where your mind wanders at nighttime. So like, no way that these are like super pretty cards, right? Like it's not giving us that good, but should be close enough. Not valid. Oh, you know what it is? Okay, does it have the use server thing? Has that, renders some code inside of a block with some message data. Let's try pulling this open on web, seeing what we got there. Show me that. ID, name, abbreviation, description. Okay. I mean, presumably it just rendered, yeah, some like invalid data. Okay, well, we'll try this. Launch date, time, name. So probably it's going to be this provider. I feel like no way that provider is correct. Okay, dang it. Launch location. Okay, maybe we got status here. Okay, status. Not bad, not bad. We're getting in there. Okay, actually, I think we're in a good spot now. I think we can just update this. Add more info like T minus countdown time and extra details. Make it prettier. Let's see what we got. Okay. Just apply that, I guess. Does this need to be applied to the entire file? Okay. Okay, accept it. Let's give that a try. Let's see what we got here. Okay, T minus nan. Oof. Okay, we could do this. We can do this. Format countdown. Countdown is not a number, is it? Launch time, launch date and time. Whoa. Okay, let's try to give this like a little bit of a better hint here. So we'll do console.log. What's the extra config for use this DOM component? No extra config. If you add use DOM in Expo SDK 52, just works. Super magical. All right, so we're going to print out some of these objects. Let's just print this out as full JSON, json.stringify. Give me that data. Let's go over here to Claude. Create TypeScript types for the following JSON. Sure. Not bad, not bad. All right. Man, yeah, a lot of data coming back from this endpoint. But I think, yeah, if we use some TypeScript types, it'll just give it, you know, it won't be rendering nans probably. And yeah, I got API response. What is this other launch type? Yeah, I think these launch types that it used were like not correct. So we'll just give it API response. Is that the whole API response? Count next previous results. Okay, I think it just generated something at random. As API response, now we should have results, launch, data ID launch, which will be of type launch. Okay, yeah, so right off the bat, not valid. And there we go. Okay, should be a bit better. Okay, provide, yeah, so it didn't really have any valid data to go off of. That makes sense. Let's see, just remove this. .pad.location.name, save that. Let's see what we got. Okay, so now we got Starship Integrated Flight 6 space. T minus is still a little off. Let's see if we can fix that. I just kind of want to, I guess, prompt that again. But cursor is kind of letting me down, so I'm thinking I'm going to switch back over to VS Code. Pump that up. Format document. Yeah. Yeah, Caddy says you do need to install React Native Web View, but other than that, it will tell you if you run it without React Native Web View, it'll say like Web View is missing. Hopefully that's good enough error. If it isn't, let us know. We can clean that error message up. Ideally, in the future, we would just ship some sort of native web view by default so that you can, yeah, just get the best results by default. Remake this card to be prettier and show more data. Let's try Copilot. Let's see what he can do. Already it's looking way better. Format the countdown, clean that up, has a link, accept, save it. Okay, a lot of data, not really like displaying this like a beautiful card, but I think that's like, okay. We can clean that up here. Still with the T minus nans though. Why is it T minus? I wonder if the data is just invalid. No, T minus nans. It's looking like what you would expect. Launch URL. Okay, wait, what does this more info do? Where is that going to take us? To the website. Okay, not bad. Not bad. Get some launch instance. Totally off, but like not bad. All right. What should we do here? Let's try to just like clean this up a bit. Actually, I'm gonna look over some questions. Drink a little water here. It's getting hot in Texas. Please share this repo. Yeah, I will definitely share the repo after we are done here. Hopefully we can get this to look like much slicker. Also, yeah, a lot of great people in here who are, please just select format document or format selection will do the trick. Live code karma. This is indeed live code karma. I tried this like yesterday and it was like, oh man, like 4 or 5 different great UIs just popping up left and right. So this is definitely a live code thing. But I mean, we have stuff and it's running everywhere. So can't be like, I think the karma's, it's okay. Say like 50% maybe. But yeah, AI hard form factor to be entertaining with because it's can really go any way. You don't know what you're gonna get. All right, what should we do here? Wish we had like something prettier to kind of work off of. Actually, you know what? Let's just use one of those things from yesterday. I mean, that might just do it for us because I do want to pull in some better utilities here. Let's do code, dry run, space app. All right, so some utilities that I like to use. I've been kind of building my own little like UI collection folder. So like right off the bat, we have this fade in, pretty good. Not incredible. I mean, you can use reanimated fade in for this as well. But I just wanted something like super easy to drop in. Body scroll view. This is how I think scroll view should work by default, with just like automatic scroll in sets and then automatic. Just turn on all the automatic things. That's how it works in iOS. Let's turn it on there. Another good one, link component that opens in the browser automatically. And then best one by far is touchable bounce. Let's pull in touchable bounce because that is just so much nicer than touchable opacity for cards. UI, paste some touchable bounce in there. Skeleton, got to have a good skeleton loader, which you can do now with React Native, just built in, zero dependency, because we have experimental background image with linear gradient. So you can make some animated skeletons super easy. Paste those in there. I mean, got to. Let's see. And yeah, here's what I was doing for this original, like, render some upcoming launches. Same deal. But it was generating like colors and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Let's just try pulling. Actually, I want to do this all from scratch. We don't need any of that. We'll just keep prompting it until we get something we like. Let's see. But I am open to suggestions. If people have ideas for how we can get a better looking prompt going on in here. I'm thinking we just go back to ChatGPT and we just keep asking it. This is not very pretty. Here's what I've got so far. submit that. Give that a shot, see how it goes. Yeah. We'll just keep asking it to make it even better. Just go as good as we can make it. Tune back in over here where we got stuff going. Only for converting React websites into a React Native app. For example, I'm currently working on making my website that is PHP, HTML, Tailwind into Alpine to a JS native app. Yeah, so if you were to convert your website from whatever web to like React, then this makes it extremely easy to convert that React into like universal React, because we have data fetching now with use server, and then we have the ability to run DOM elements, and we should be able to take those DOM elements and then just convert them over to native. Like if you were to go through here, you see div, convert it to view. You can get these plugins, say like min height 100, background gray 50. Hover that, you see this is the background color. So it is definitely possible, and over time we can make this even easier. But like, yeah, this is the pathway to making a beautiful app out of a website is much clearer now, I think, than it has ever been before. Let's just pull in individual elements here so that it doesn't look like it included the types. Okay, yeah, we're not getting some results here. Let's just go from yesterday's thing. No. All right. I mean, because yesterday it even generated this with just like React Native. I mean, hard to go wrong with that. Let's pull some of these in. Let's go render info. We got some views, some images, some text. I mean, let's do some of these later. Let's go like link from Expo router. Pull out this countdown timer. Let's see what we get here. Render info, render upcoming launches. Render launches. Give that a shot. All right, so this is kind of what we were getting yesterday, although it's got this like long, what is going on there? Let's see. Over here, we've got tabs. Tabs looks good. Index looks okay. For the index, let's do, maybe let's try wrapping this in one of those like body scroll views. Oh, I didn't pull that in, whatever. In a scroll view, should be fine as well. Let's see what we got here. Okay, that's like way better. Okay, this is a prompt I ran, same prompt as yesterday. And as you can see, the quality of the model is like, yeah, oh man. All right, so now we're kind of back on track. We'll prompt through like the detail page. Some things that we've got here that are just like already kind of like not my favorite is like this bright flash of content you get because of the touchable opacity. So let's just pop in here, touchable. Okay, we're using touchable bounce. Okay, so I didn't actually implement touchable bounce on web or on native. This is actually a fun fact. Touchable bounce is inside of React Native. React Native, libraries, components, touchable bounce. Like, look at this. This is just like this hidden like Easter egg component that you have over here that does like a whole bouncing effect. So yeah, I think like, I mean, over here, this is just using view, image, and text, and we're rendering it inside of a DOM component. So that makes this into a website, but we don't really need this to be a DOM component. We could just make it, I think, native. Should be fine. Let's give that a reload. Oh, okay. Or not. Maybe it's oh no, okay, there it is. Okay, so yeah, what happened here is by like when we removed the use DOM directive, the server action automatically switched behind the scenes from being a web server action to being a native server action because it's invoked from an iOS app. It became an iOS server action automatically. So this code inside of here, when we were rendering Vue, this was rendering out to like a React Native Web div. But because we invoke it now from a native app, it is rendering with React Native. Pretty crazy, pretty awesome. And then I think the problem over here, it's got a little cutoff at the top. That's just because of the automatic stuff I was talking about. Let's just go ahead and fix that. So we can do automatic scroll indicators, content, incent adjustment behavior, automatic. These should be the defaults in React Native, man. This should be the defaults. And now it actually like shows under the content. And then we've got our thing here. So let's go back to prompting because I think, why not? Let's say switch out the fallback for a skeleton UI that resembles the, I don't know, contents. Let's give that a try. Let's see what it comes up with. So we're using this activity indicator, but I think we should be using a skeleton loader of some sort. So now it's giving us this like RN UI themed. Let's try again. Actually, whatever. We'll just accept it. I think we could just switch this out probably for our skeleton UI. Skeleton, give that a try. What's the skeleton UI theme? Yeah, we can try that. Okay, so we have these like long, skinny skeleton loaders coming in here. Let's make these like a little bit higher. I mean, how high are these? Maybe we could do like 300. It's closer. It's not perfect, but a little bit closer. We can test this by just coming in here and then doing like await new promise. Yeah, like this. And then this will just keep the promise open for like 5 seconds. And so we can see the different like cards coming in and we can like understand how we should space them out a bit differently. Don't really want to focus on it too much though. What I really want is to go to a detail page. So right here, we just clicked on it and now we're at launch and then some ID and the new not found page. So let's create this route. I'll just go in here, no folder. Actually, we'll go new file. We could go launch/id.tsx. And now from here, what are we going to do? Well, let's do export default function detail page. And then let's pull in our ID. ID is going to be use local search params. And let's just return like just some text. Oh man, Lucid React. Once it's in your project, everything in IntelliSense just points to Lucid React. Okay, I actually don't want to wait 5 seconds each time we make this data fetch request. And we pulled it out. Okay, so maybe it's just the default time to load. Okay, so now we've got this, and I guess it's floated up behind the content a bit more. So we need to do another one of those like scroll view things. But for this one, let's just try maybe some more DOM components. Let's just give that a shot. We got like an hour. Actually, okay, you know what we should, okay, yeah, well, let's make a little page for this real quick. So let's go, how should we plan this out? Let's go like render detail, like launch detail, use server, export async function, render launch detail, and then we'll give it an ID string. And we can basically just move some of this text over to here. Because inside of the server environment, we won't have access to the use local search params because it runs on the server. So we'll just feed it in the ID, and then it can make our network requests over there. And then from here, yeah, let's try switching over to DOM components really quickly. So we'll just have a component, which is like, I don't know, launch detail dom.tsx. Can do use DOM, export default function. Yeah, launch detail DOM. And then here we can do same deal as before, react.suspense. Why didn't it import React? React.suspense fallback. Sure, we'll just do some loading. Render launch detail. And then, yeah, with DOM components, we could just pass in same deal, ID, and we just automatically marshal this like right over the bridge between the different JavaScript environments, which is fantastic. So now we should be able to do just some like HTML, CSS inside of here. Let's pull in the CSS that we had from before. Seems fine. And then, yeah, let's export this from our native view. ID, give it the ID, give it one of these. Okay, I think we just need to type this a little bit better. ID string, launch detail DOM. Okay, so now we are passing this to a web view. The web view then renders it on the server. Woo! Okay. Man, do we dare prompt again? I think we do. I think we do dare prompt again. Fetch launch details from for the specific launch using the ID, then render a details page using Tailwind and React. All right, so already not the right data. We can help it along here. What is the correct data source that we want to pull from? Render info. Yeah, let's just say pull in data using this. Whoa. Change that around. Fetch data from, give that a try. Sure. Load some data, see how that goes. Oh, not bad. Okay, so we got some basic content on the page. Starship integrated launch, date, rocket ship, 6th test flight. Coming up here, baby. Coming up. 2 hours, 56 minutes. Right around the corner. All right, and we have that for some of these other pages too. So something that's really cool here is basically we're rendering this link like on the server, in this case, not in a DOM component, but even if it were in a DOM component, as long as you use expo-router link, it will forward the navigation event up to the router, and then the router will decide like what is the best possible navigation option. So on web, that could be a client navigation versus a server navigation. On native, it could be making a native push animation. So like here, I mean, this is a full native push that we're getting. Like you even have the breadcrumb right here. You can click on that, go up. Yeah, so expo-router link, very OP. Oh, go for launch. Let's go. All right, so the title up here is not correct. You see, we are loading some data, but then like we should have the name, and then we should update this with the name. So I think we can do that. Let's just for now set that like inside of here. So we'll say name, launch ID. Yeah, maybe we call it mission because that's like a cooler word. Yeah, mission. There we go. So now we have like our mission was removed natively. And then we have like some of this that we can like launch through. So we're starting to get like the structure of our app together, starting to like pull in there. But yeah, we need to clean this up. We need some interactive elements. So one thing I kind of want is for this one, especially right now, since it's like coming up and I gotta go to it, is like we should have like a countdown timer. So to do that, the problem is we're rendering this kind of here on the server, And when it's on the server, we can't have something which is just like unless there was some way to declare like make a countdown animation, you're going to need to like write some JavaScript which you can opt out of the server, and we can do that using use client. So instead of here where we have like, let's see, where's this t minus coming from? T minus looks like this is this relative time, which we do is like dot relative. Okay, so like in here, I think we can do like countdown timer. So yeah, let's create something like that. Countdown timer.tsx. Instead of here, we'll go use client. By adding use client, we basically, like inside of the RSC payload that gets sent down, it will send down a reference to this component, and then there will be a split bundle of JavaScript. So then when it gets to the suspense boundary, it says we can't render this component until we fetch that JavaScript over the air and then evaluate it inside of the engine. And once it's there, then we can mount the component and it will be able to like continue traversing down the tree. And you can use that to do some pretty magical things. Let's see, can we just like create a countdown timer component that starts from a given time, use React Native. Let's give that a shot, see what it comes up with. And see what else is going on down here. How will hosting an app with server functions work? Do we supply a URL in the app JSON, or will we host with Expo EAS in the future? Fantastic question. So currently, the way that server components works is we rolled this out, like, because we knew like this is what we wanted to build, and so we rolled out as many pieces as we could ahead of time. And so like one piece was API routes, so that's already shipped and that's out. And if you look at the Expo API routes docs, you can get a better sense for how servers work in Expo. So over here, you can do API routes. And we have this origin URL. So when you set the origin URL, you can basically do these relative fetch requests like /hello. And in development, it'll do it relative to the dev server. On web, it does it relative to the origin. But in production on native, it does it relative to this value right here. So if you want to deploy to a server, what you'll do is you'll set this value. In the future with Expo, you know, like deployment is hard, it's complicated, especially native deployment. I think like what we'll do is we'll just figure out a way to make this just zero config. So something you don't have to think about. Like because it works here, it should keep working. So we'll figure out like whatever we need to do to get this deployment to continue working. And then, you know, subsequently also solve all the versioning issues where it's like maybe you have different branches with different versions, which have different servers connected to them. That's something which is still in flux. And it's the main reason why this is in developer preview and not in like open beta. Because I mean, obviously going to production is an important part of the equation. So yeah, we've got this countdown timer. It looks like we've got, okay, countdown timer is a number. Works for me. Let's say countdown timer, date launch net. That's not the, what do we have here? Initial time, date, dot. Get time, perfect. All right, let's try that. Let's see, 100 and okay, that's okay. Not fantastic, but it is okay. There was one that I had over here that I kind of liked that I saw the other day. I might have just deleted it. Let's see. Where is it? Well, okay, so I found this reference app, this like Rocket reference app, and it was great. Let's see if we've got this in here anywhere. I'll just airdrop it back to myself. Called like SP X. And this is like pretty good. So I think we'll like, oh man, all right, yeah, I think we will try replicating some of the UI in it. There we go. Just show me in Finder. So here's like, I mean, yeah, fantastic UI, looks great. I don't think maybe it's built with React Native, I didn't check. But what we can do is let's just go in here and like crop this part, say like crop, save that. And then let's go into like Claude. Let's create a new chat, hopefully. Yeah, okay, 3.5, sure. Create this animated countdown timer with React Native. All right. Since we're focusing on the web version rather than React Native, who said anything about the web version rather than React Native? I mean, okay, immediately created it, but you see, this is why DOM components matter so much. We're struggling with the AI stuff already, but we asked it specifically to use React Native in a new chat, and then it was like, all right, I'll use Tailwind. Without DOM components, this is just like not right for us. Use React Native, not Tailwind. But with DOM components, we could just drop this in and use it verbatim. So pretty sweet that we have options, got a couple options. In this case, I just want it to be universal though, because we've already migrated this over to native. All right, I'll write a Ruski. Drop this in. Where's our countdown timer? Make sure we mark this with use client at the top. Actually, I kind of wanted to, yeah, make the props just a single date object. Yeah, I just want to use a target date. Like I don't want to have to like split up the seconds and the minutes and all that. Come back over here and check out some of these comments. See what what we got going on here. Use DOM doesn't work for me, and I was wondering if I'm missing some settings or packages. It works in web browser, but not on iOS or Android. Ben Dev, I would recommend opening an issue with a repro so that we can take a look. There's not much we can do without repro because we have a test for this, and it does indeed work in the tests. Target date. All right, let's come in here. Countdown, target date, launch net. Seems fine. Try that. Get time of undefined. Date. Give that a shot. And that should be a date right there. Cool. Oh man. Okay. So now we got it. Oh, okay. 2 hours, 41 minutes, and 18, 17, 16. All right. Plenty of time. Use client in React Native. Yes, but unlike the other approaches, the server components, use client is like not currently, it's not the default. So everything is just like client is just the default. So the only time you need to use client is when you are calling it from something with use server. So it's pretty far down the line, but you know, easy enough to drop in there. I built in all of the errors that you would get if you have like use state and everything. I mean, we could try those right now. Let's just reload this. And you see this like client only use state API cannot be used in a React server component. Add the use client directive to the top of this file or one of the parent files to enable running this stateful code on a user's device. And it will even tell you exactly where the use state was. So a lot of this feature was just building in these new error types so that it's easy to find when something goes wrong, where it goes wrong, and how we can interact with it. Okay, so yeah, we've got, man, there's a lot of rocket launches this week. Hell yeah. So yeah, we can see 2 hours, 40 minutes, 05 seconds. Let's create, yeah, I mean, pretty sweet. Let's save some of this and I mean, we could try cleaning up this page. What else can we do? What else can we do? Well, okay. One thing we could try to do is, well, before I get ahead of myself, let's see if I had some notes here for things to actually do. Migrate to native. Yeah, I mean, we did that pretty quickly. I mean, I think we're just, I think now it's all just margin. So let's, yeah, let's keep building this out. Go for launch. Launch this opens up in here. All right. What should we make this look like? How do we make this? How do we make this beautiful? Let's go into the render launch details page. Let's just new chat over here. Start a new chat. Okay. I have the following React server component, which fetches launch details for a rocket. Let's see, please rebuild the UI to be prettier and show more details about the launch. We can give that a shot, but I suspect we will need to fetch the data, create some types for the data, and then like feed it, yeah, just more data so it knows like what to work with. Although this is starting to, okay, this looks more like what I was getting yesterday, where we actually have like proper colors, proper styles, proper spacing. So higher hopes here. Okay, yeah, this already looks better. I think we were just like, that blip in time, the model was not helpful. All right, let's copy out some of this code. It's using shad CNUI. I wonder if we should set that up. We could set up some shad CNUI. Yeah, we could set up some shad CN. We give it a try. All right. To set up shad CNUI, let's see if they have docs for setting up Expo. If not, I've got a solution. Okay, yeah, I don't see Expo docs in here. Looks like we want Tailwind CSS animate, CSS class variety, okay, Lucid React. So yeah, we just copy all this. Let's try it. Bunix, Expo, install, like drop some of those in there. And then we need that setup. That's already set up in the default template. Update. Okay, we can update the Tailwind config. Doesn't look like it'll be painful. Tailwind config, app components. Okay. And I much prefer this dark mode class instead of using the system dark mode. Like just system dark mode on web, just it's not the move. Update the global CSS. Sure. Add libutils. Okay. libutils.ts. Create a components.json file. Okay. You see, a problem here is that they say CSS is at source index.css, but over here they tell you make the CSS file globals.css. So we might have to update that. Components.json, give that a try. Global.css. At least I think that's how it works. Anything else? That's it? Okay. Before we actually try running that, I want to go to Expo examples because we have a shad CN example in here that we just set up. And this is probably going to, yeah, source global. Yeah, so that definitely needs to point to the right location. Live hooks, Lucid, New York, all that looks fine. RSC false, TSX true. Okay, everything else here looks reasonable. And then we're not using a source folder. Okay, so now I think we can just install whatever shadcn packages it pulled in. So it looks like card, badge, and alert. So let's go over here, look up, sure, badge, mpx, add latest, badge, card, alert. Let's give that a try. Install latest shad. All right, add those files. These should all exist. Now I think we can just save it. We might need to reload the dev server. Oh, well, no, there we go. Okay. Okay. Gonna try reloading the dev server, but I think that's it. Yeah, I mean that's definitely the card. And they have a watch launch button. What happens when we click watch launch? Okay. Unclear. Well, setting up shadcn, not as painful as maybe some think. Import expo-router. If we use expo-router link instead of the A, I think we'll just get some better results in here. Let's try that. Let's try watch launch. Okay. Opened itself in the app. Wild. Maybe it's target. Maybe it's just because it's server rendered. Hard to say. We can come back to that. Main thing I want is if we're already using shadcn and we're already, then like we should definitely have like some images showing up here. So let's try getting some of this data that we get from the launch object. Console.log. Let's do json.stringify launch in here, and then just copy the data. Yeah, let's go back over to Claude and then say like create types for the following JSON. So let's create some types, just help prompt the object so it knows which data that we like is available to use. Oh, what's going on in here? Whoa, a lot of great information coming in. Okay. One thing that I love about this stream is that people are just like actively trying DOM components, server components like live which is great. Yeah, I mean, like it's super exciting. I've been using this all day to make just tons and tons of stuff, and it's like fantastic what's possible. All right, I think this is launch, main launch type. And we can just say as launch. Oh, cool. It already fixed that type issue. Vid URLs does not exist. Does it not exist? I think it existed. It's right there. Oh, Claude, you silly Claude. Okay. Today is the last day I pay for Claude. Where does this show up? Like, due to unexpected capacity constraints, unable to respond to your message. I pay. Like, what? It's crazy. Let's see what other questions we got in here. Oh, yes. Let me add the video URL type. At the beginning, Claude is the best. At the end, Claude is the worst. Yes, indeed. It was a fun 24 hours for me. It was a good 24 hours. Any plans to add support for Expo vector icons too in Expo quick actions? That would be super duper cool. Maybe. So the way that the quick actions work is those are like custom images. So we would need maybe in the config plugins for you to like extract the font icon into an image and then embed that in the binary. Because otherwise it just uses SF icons on iOS. And on Android, everything is a custom image. So over there, it would definitely work a bit better. I mean, it wouldn't, like, we'd still have to implement all that kind of craziness ourselves. Okay. Well, looks like we've got that. Loading some data. Got the fetch. All this content just kind of jammed in there. All right, Claude, goodbye. No more Claude for me. We'll stick with GPT, although I want to use like just 4, I think. Actually, 4 is fine. All right. And the following React server component. Improve the UI. I'll just give it everything, see what it comes up with. Main thing that I want is just to have like a banner image. Like, is that, I don't think it's too much to ask for. Get some sort of banner image in here, get that pumping going. Let's see what else we got here. Every time I look over to the preview, it's just like me looking down. So I want to maybe not just be looking down the whole time. How is everyone enjoying Expo SDK 52, by the way? Let us know if you run into any issues so we can solve them, because that's what we do, man. It's a good job. Okay, yeah, so now it's really pumping out some data here. Let's try that. See what we got. Okay, there we go. I mean, a little bit better. Not amazing, but a little, like, at least we get the image in there. Thank goodness. Okay. I mean, okay, we get the image, but I also want the countdown timer because that looks great. Launch date, launch date. Launch date is not on the object. Target date, launch date. Give me that. Try that like one more time. What have we got here? Okay, get that. 2 hours, 26 minutes, 32 seconds. Looking good, looking good. Create a skeleton loading UI component for this view. Let's try that. And then we can drop that in. So instead of seeing like loading here, we should see kind of like a rough estimation of the UI. And we can do some pretty sweet stuff with the skeleton loaders, which we can get into here in a second. Yes, do skeleton loading, copy this. Let's just do like DOM detail skeleton loader. Actually, yeah, just detail skeleton. Detail skeleton loading. All right, so here we've got this, but the suspense is over on this side. So let's change out loading for skeleton loading. Drop that in there. Maybe just give that a reload. It's looking, I mean, the skeleton loading state needs some love too. Okay, I mean, a little skinny in there. Max width, what do we got going on here? Let's just load this directly. launch detail DOM. Yeah, so let's just go and do this so that we can get our eyes on this. Wait, what? Don't load past the thing. All right, okay, so yeah, let's clean this up a little bit. Padding 6, that's wild. Actually, okay, we could do like maybe padding x6, mx auto. Okay, fine, max width. Okay, also fine. Whoa, okay, what am I thinking? What am I thinking? Oh, you know what we could do? Let's just open Safari. And then we can inspect it. Let's see, why is it so skinny? Well, right here, got the MX Auto. Yeah, we turned that off, but then that didn't really solve it. And then here, height, width, full, margin bottom. Yeah, okay, so kind of just want to turn all that off. And then for this, let's go. I mean, we got width full. Is that really the full width? Maybe we just try like a width full on this bad boy as well. There we go. Stop all that. Okay, there we go. So now we've got like a better skeleton loading page for our UI. Flex, yeah, I mean, we could flex it. I think we just needed this to be width 100. So what I'm thinking the issue is here was, I mean, okay, this is a very long-winded explanation, and yeah, okay. With default React Native Web and just like how Expo Web has worked historically is we do like this whole CSS reset at the root. With DOM components, we're not doing that. So it just works more like how React DOM works. And so what you're going to see is that this root element is pulling everything in, and it's not this stretched out full square with locked scrolling. So we allow body scrolling. Just everything works like the web inside of a DOM component. So you're going to see like some of these layout differences, but I think ultimately that's just better. That's going to lead to websites that look and feel and work better. And in the future, I think like probably we can do that with all of Expo Web, where instead of having React Native Web as the default, it's something you just opt into. So you can just have like, you know, the exact what you want with web situation. And then if you want React Native Web and you want all those resets, install React Native Web and we can turn all that on automatically. But as a result, it ends up with some of these layout behaviors that are kind of funky, where everything is just kind of squished into the set. Because that's how the web really works, right? It's like if you think about the web, it's just a way to display text on a page and you read that text. So it's like the default displays and block and all that are very much optimized for text in the corner that then, you know, gets to the edge and then wraps, and then it wraps when you like squeeze it in. The React Native Web version is the opposite. It's more like React Native, where everything is more like flexible objects inside of a container. And that is my rant about default styling. You got to have one, you know, otherwise you touch the default styling and then you're like, oh, you could just do anything. And you gotta go on like a whole journey to come to that conclusion. So we can make the skeleton loading just something optional now. Just show up when we click on the thing, click on that, get the skeleton loader, thing pops in. It pops in. I don't love that, right? Like I think this is where that fade in type component comes into play. Like, can we make this all just fade in when we do it? And I see there's this reanimated thing. I'm just going to pull in that fade in component that we had earlier, because I think that's the move. Let's pull in fade in. And I also, you know what? I want this body scrolling too. I like the body scrolling component. See, I need to have my own little like shad CM, which just has random opinions about how components should mount. Everyone should make their own random opinion library. Let's see if we can. Okay, so that fades in, but it's a little like wonky on the sides and how it spaces out. So let's just wrap some of the content that actually fades in, because I think that'll like serve us a bit better. So yeah, we can do this banner image here. We can make that fade in. Let's try that. Oh, okay, fades in. Not bad, not bad. Overflow hidden shadow. Okay, not bad. And then yeah, we have some of this other content down here that we can get to fade in. Bacon CN. I don't know. I think the CN may be the country code where Mr. Shad lives. So mine would just be Bacon US. Oh man, to be confirmed. I keep clicking back on this and then getting distracted. A, because I got to go to this launch, but B, because these launches are so awesome. I love space exploration. So yeah, exciting. I mean, dude, if they do this catch again today, that's going to be so crazy. And it's one of those things where it's so awesome that you're not sure if you should look at it or like film it. Because I saw the first launch and it was great. I just watched it. I didn't film it or anything. I was just like locked onto it. But then it's like, you work on DOM components and you forget what it was like, and you need like maybe at least a picture to like jog that memory. So not sure. Anyways, my mind's racing with all that nonsense instead of like building my HTML. Okay, what should we do next? I mean, this card just looks like way better than, what about accessibility for used DOM and server-side components? You'll have to be more specific, like what kinds of accessibility are you interested in? You can add all the ARIA props. Actually, let's take a look at some of like what's going on behind the scenes here. I think that'll be interesting for some people. It's like this launch. We need to make the default layout very good on iOS, and then we need to have like a really good fallback for Android and web, because right now we do not have that. So let's just do like platform.select and then make most of this iOS, actually all of it iOS, otherwise default that. There we go. Bumps it under the header bar. Click on this. Okay, so I mean, you already see the like a little bit of the disparity here between React Native views, React Native web views, and just using Tailwind with divs, right? Like this lays out much better, it responds much better, and over here it's like this is all React Native web, so it's just fully stretched out. I think Native Wind helps a lot with stuff like this, but DOM components is another great solution. Another great solution is just we have like these platform extensions, with prompting. You can basically just create two versions if you wanted the React Native DOM version, the React Native version, and the DOM version, and you could switch between the two. But yeah, ultimately the goal is like, how do we make this look good on all form factors with as little code as possible? And we're not quite there yet, in my opinion. So yeah, we've got all this content coming down, but let's take a look at the actual network requests. Like what's happening here? So first, you see we call render launch detail.txt. So that's going to look like this URL, localhost flight action. Let's just put it in here so you guys can see it bumped up a bit more. So this is going to be localhost, but then basically it's at flight web action, and then we pass in the file, and then we have the name of the function to call. That's the dev version of this URL. Makes it much easier to debug, easier to see what's going on. I mean, you can just plainly see here what's happening. And then, yeah, we have some payload. So this is going to be the ID. These are the params. These are sent behind the scenes in the background. And then we have the response of like what actually comes down. So let's save this because this is super interesting. So here's our response. Now, it's kind of spammed here with these D elements. So if I don't know how dangerous this will be, but yeah, we can like select all the D elements and then delete them. Those are debug elements. So in development, you'll see those, and those will just, I don't know if it's like fully clear how they'll be used yet, but like in React Dev Tools and stuff, those should help like give you a better component stack. Because then, yeah, also these parts are for development as well. This like name, card, server, owner. So we can take all these and probably just delete them too. All right, and this is what we're left with, right? This is the RSC payload. So this is kind of like, on yeah, this is React's serialization layer, its transport system. And on React Native, we can think of this like the HTML. So you can stream this down. The reason why it looks like JSON, but it's new lines eliminated, is that you could basically have a suspense boundary in here where like only this code comes down, and then we're fetching more data, and then later this code comes down. And what that would look like is like you actually see different elements coming down onto the page at different times. We can try that right now, actually. So with launch details, inside of here, we fetch all the data once. There's one fetch request, and then everything goes up into that root suspense boundary. But if we want to space that out, so we see some data come in and then we see other data come in later, we can add more suspense boundaries. And that is just kind of the benefit of some of the streaming. So let's try that. Let's add a new component in here, async function my heavy view, right? And then this can just render out like hello. But the reason why it's heavy is, let's say it does some data fetching call, like a fetch request, and that fetch request takes like 5 seconds to resolve, right? Like this is going to some CDN like way out in the middle of nowhere. That's not really what CDN is, but it's going somewhere and it's taken a long time to get there, to get back. So let's just drop this in right here, the heavy view. What's going to happen now is when we make this request, the whole request, everything will take 5 seconds to load now. So now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then whatever time is left to do the rest of the request, right? Actually, that's taking a long time. Okay, there it is. Now it all comes in and we get hello. So say we wanted to show all of this actionable data before the heavy component was done rendering. What we can do is we can wrap this with react.suspense and give it a fallback like this. And now all of our code will load in like as soon as it's done, but we'll see the heavy component remains loading until it finishes, and now we see it. That is ridiculous. Like that is so crazy cool. Major props to the React team for like making this a reality. And then, you know, combine that with Expo and the fact that all of everything I just showed you, like that modern state, that just ran here in the background. We didn't even see it. Let's we could just pop this open when this finishes loading right there, open that, and there it is. Same like policy where now it's still loading. This can be an animated spinner, and then we see the rest of our data. Like that is at the forefront of data fetching, like developer experience and user experience. Because if you wanted to do something like that in any other way, you would have to like refactor. You have to like take this data and then fetch it over here with this. If you had some store, you'd have to move that over there and just like change your loading boundaries, all your hooks around in order to pull that off. And then you would do that and you'd be like, you know what? I actually don't like the way it's clunking in. I want it to load all at once. And then refactor it all back. Now all you have to do is just fetch right next to where you render your data. And if you don't want that, you can just move this here. You can move this here. You can nest these as many as you want. You can literally have like, multiple versions of these nested inside of them in each other. Fantastic. So the data fetching that you get here is like, we're going from Expo with no data fetching to Expo with like the best possible data fetching you can even imagine. So pretty fantastic. Very excited. And it's just, it feels great. You know, what's really cool here is we have this loading state like that's coming in, and we have, I think the requests are getting slower because like we're getting closer to this launch and more people are just tuning in around the world and using apps that are like fetching data. But what's really cool here is we have all these loading states. This is more loading states than I, typically build in an app, especially when I'm making last minute on a stream. There are no hooks here. Like, look at this page. Like there are no hooks anywhere. If we want our loading state, we do this. Inside of here, no hooks, 0 hooks to be seen. Hooks are kind of a wonky way to like write and do data fetching, right? Like if you had to do this some other way, like client-side data fetching, you would have like, is loading and then like set loading, and then you'd have like use state, false or something, and then you'd have use effect. And then we come in here and then we would like instantiate, we would do our data fetching, which wouldn't be secure. It would be like exposed to the user. And then we would have like then, and then once we get our data, we would also have to do like is mounted, true, I guess. And then we would come down here and we'd say like is mounted is false. And then we would say like, if it's mounted, then we could set the data, and we could also set loading to false. And now like you have this code where you're just like, you follow this arrow where it goes like down to here, and then it goes up, and then it goes down and up and down, and you create this like pyramid behavior, which is just hard to explain to people, and it's just not very readable. That's not what we have here. Here there are no hooks. We're just using straight up JavaScript where we have functions. We say when it's loading, fall back to this, render the launches, async, await, try, catch, render, render, render. It's fantastic. Works on all platforms. So bullish. I'm very bullish. In fact, I love this pattern so much. I think we should apply it to more things. So one way I would love to apply this in the future is I wish we had something like a permission boundary where you could do something like, say I had a component here, which was like, notify me or something. And then inside of here, I wanted to do something where I was like, send notification. Just maybe it's in a button, maybe I do like some on press, and then it sends notification, like something. But what's missing here, let me just finish this all out because what's missing here is, where do I ask for the permission? Like I don't really ask for it anywhere. The way you ask for permissions now is you have a bunch of hooks and effects and like all these states. You'll have like, is loading state. Actually, let's just try this. Let's try guard this with notification permissions. Maybe it'll just know where to ask. Let's try. Yep. Okay, perfect. I mean, kind of outdated, but whatever. Got the old school Expo permissions. This is what it looks like to like guard your permission, right? And this is not fantastic because when I think, okay, I want to send someone a notification, I just want to call an API like this. But actually you have to wrap it with all these hooks and use effect, and you're back in this like circle. So what would be really nice is if we had a way to do something like, like permission suspense or something like permission loading. And then you could have like a fallback, which is your loading state. So in this case, that would be, I guess if there was like a loading state, it would be something like text like, need permission. And then when you mount this, this would check for the permission, and then it would render this until it has it. And then you could have like a permission error boundary, like permission errors. And then this could like show some fallback view, which you see when you need your permissions. So now you have an API which works like server components where you could just say like schedule a notification. And if I don't have the permission, we don't even get to this API. We see this. And then if we need the permission, maybe it's in here, it could say like required or something. Then it will show you this error state of like, permissions, go to settings. And then you could just delete all of these hooks. Like you don't need any of that. So I think that there's actually a lot that we can learn from React data fetching from the web and apply it to native APIs. Anyways, that's another tangent in here. So something to look forward to. Maybe we'll try that sometime. But yeah, that's the benefits that we're getting from server components are incredible, and like what we'll learn from them and how they will shape the direction of like our DX and our user experience, and just the onboarding is going to be hard to quantify. But getting back over here, let's see, what other issues do we have? Well, right now we're on the launch page, but I lost my back button. So let's just add that back. We could do that in here with export const unstable settings, initial route name. Actually, I think initial route name's index here. Okay, now we've got our back button. So we can back button up to the index stuff. And now our deep linking should work on iOS. If we were to deep link right into this page, we should be able to go back. 2 minutes, 2 hours, 5 minutes. All right, so it looks like we have like 1 more hour to go. What can we do with an hour? I mean, we could do plenty with an hour. Right off the bat, I'm thinking think we clean up some of these details here. I think there's like a video here as well. We should be able to launch a video. But one thing I'm noticing is, okay, this isn't how I want to do the video like long term, but I think when we do watch launch, it's doing this like crazy behavior, like it's pushing a different route. I think it's probably just because it's showing, let's doing like a hash or something like that. Let's find it. Watch launch, span, video URL. Let's just kind of print this out in here and get a sense for like what the video URLs looks like. Oh, it's like a whole object. Oh man, video URLs. Is that this? Okay, title URL. Okay. Let's just ask it to fix this real quick. Fix this to account for the complex vid URL type. Okay, I was hoping it would make like a whole card out of it because, I mean, it could. Watch launch. What happens when we watch the launch? Okay, so now it's taking us out and it's opening up this. And we can see in 73 minutes the launch will start. But not a huge fan of that, of like leaving the app. I think it'd be better if we showed like a modal that popped up when we opened external URLs. So a way that we can do that, how can we do that? Let's see. What can we do? What can we do? What can we do? Okay, I have some ideas. I don't love the ideas, but I have some ideas. One is we can have a native action which says open inside of Expo web browser, and then when we open inside of, in order to get that action to the server through the client component, we will need to set up a context object and then pull it into the context. Actually, let's just do that. Why not? So let's say, yeah, let's come in here. Let's create like link context.tsx. Link context, React. Okay, guess we're importing stuff today. Too many helpers, man. Too many helpers everywhere. Export, link, create context. And then let's say open browser. Can we do this or null? Okay, or null. Yeah, do a provider, open browser. Actually, we could skip over the provider. Let's do the custom link. And then let's pull in expo-router link from expo-router link. And then I think this should just like extend expo-router link. Okay, let's just go props, component props, type of expo-router link. And then we can return expo-router link like that, spread in our props. And then we'll do like on press and get the event. And then we'll say like, okay, if props.href, let's do like, well, yeah, let's do if types of props.href is equal to string and props.href starts with HTTP, then we'll handle it specially. Now let's get our context. Oh, when we use server components, by the way, this does have access to React 19. So you can use the React use API instead of use context. You do use, and then whatever is going on there, open browser, props.url, and we'll prevent default so it doesn't have the standard behavior. Woo. Okay. Actually, I'll do else props.onPress. We're not using all this, but like whatever. I like to be a little thorough here. I had to prove that the one time I write without like GPT, I could still kind of do it. I had to prove to myself. Okay, over here, let's pass in the native action. So we'll do open browser, and then give it a URL. Let's do bunx expo install expo web browser. Part of me wants to build this web browser behavior into expo router by default, like just into the link, but I haven't thought of like a good API for that. So open to suggestions if anyone has one. Like maybe it could be a new target, like instead of target underscore blank, it could be like target external or something. Open browser async. One thing that I like about this is that we can change the presentation style to be the automatic one. Again, like petition to make all React Native things use automatic as the default value. We don't do it here because web browser is mostly used for authentication, and so you want that full screen modal instead of the like the kind of siloed one, the floating one. But yeah, gotta be more automatic. That's how we make the apps look more native. Promise void. All right, so now we have our open browser. So then let's pass this to our link context. Context.provider, value open browser. Got that. So now it should be available in here. Whoa. Don't freak out on me. Don't freak out. Okay, good. We are in the sub 2 hour mark, guys. Let's go. Okay, yeah, so now instead of our server component here, instead of using this link, let's just switch these over to use our custom link. Components, link context. Okay, try that. Oh, didn't mark it with use client at the top. Mark it like that. I'll take that as a win because the error message was useful. All right, so now let's see. Do we have it all set up right? If it's HTTP, then we should open in the browser. Let's try it. There it is. Nice. All right. Through the DOM, server rendered, call a native function, open it in the modal, and now we've got this floating modal to handle our external links, which is pretty sweet. We can even, we can do other stuff too. But yeah, I mean, not bad. I also don't even think so we can use this use stuff, but I think another thing we could have done here is instead of provider, I think you just do that in React 19. I think that works. Let's reload that just to clarify. Yeah, cool. So with React 19, which we use internally when server functions are enabled, so not by default in Expo, but when server functions are enabled, and we also print this here in the terminal. Here at the top of the terminal, we do say experimental React Canary version is enabled. What that means is that you can do this link.context without needing to do .provider, and it means you can use react.use and all the new syntax for React 19, which is pretty sweet. All right, so we are starting to get things to come together. I mean, look at that. How much more time do we have here, actually? To 2:45? Oh, man, we're good. We're good. We got plenty of time. Okay, understand Bacon is excited about this stuff, but didn't talk about A11Y. It's a huge issue in my country since it's mandated by law. It has to be A11Y compliant. We can talk about accessibility. I see where I got off track. Okay, so we'll rewind this back a little bit. Where was the, okay, yeah, so we got this in here. So this is what comes down when we have an RSC payload. This is what we're changing. And inside of here, you'll see here are the props. each one of these then goes to a client component. So down here, we have components.fade in. So this is going to be 1. I think it's going to be something like *1. Yeah. So then when we see *1 over here, wherever, okay, with that, maybe, I don't know, something like that. When we see these star elements, these are client components. And then what comes after that is the props that we send down to them. So what this means is that we can pass any accessibility props that we want to them. There is no issue with any of the accessibility. You have all the same accessibility that you have before. You have it today. I should have said that earlier. I'm sorry. But yeah, this is so inside of our server component here with use server. Yeah, you come in here. All this works. Every single prop that you set up and instantiate, all that's going to be sent down. Same on the client side. So yeah, really no drawback. In fact, you can do more with it. Like, so for instance, this person here says that in their country is a big deal. I don't know why you would do this. Don't do this. But you could come in here and there's this API, which is really, really cool. It's the unstable headers API. So you can import this from expo-router RSC headers. And when you call this, you get the headers object. So when this is deployed, then you can basically do something like const is EU. And then you can check the Cloudflare IP country or wherever you're hosting. You can see like which country it is. And now inside of your component, you could just change this, and you could do something like if is EU, then render like your GDPR banner component. So yeah, you can, pretty magical. You can do various types of, like, if you need to do various, like, I'll let you guys decide what you want to do with that, but you can sniff headers and then use that header sniffing directly with what you render inside of the view. Another great use case for this, yeah, is someone says if EU return null. Yeah, so you can do whatever you want with this. You have all the power, and you can render like on all platforms. One thing that is super useful for this is we talked about like if we have an API key in here, and actually the reason we're using this LLDev is because the real API is .ll, but you can only do 15 requests per IP per hour. And when you get past that, it starts to just return like errors and error codes. So on native, it's like you don't really want to throw an error code back, but you can do something like you can check someone's IP, store it, and then when it gets over some sort of rate limit, you can return like rate limit UI. So that rate limit UI could have something like upgrade or like pay more to access more content. You can use this to prevent any sort of attack on your system. You have all that power right here within your React component using this API, headers, unstable headers. Never been anything before like that on native. So pretty sweet. And yeah, like this person will say, if you need extra accessibility, or if you need to, like, for instance, render, you could just do anything. Like you could, for instance, have experiments where you're like rolling out a segmented UI where you want to try like changing the data. If you want to roll out like RTL and you render like, different, if you want to have different translations, you can render those on the server and you don't need to ship the translations to the client. So much smaller binary size for the end user. Super powerful. What about use DOM? It's a web view. Can you navigate it with external keyboard or voiceover? Yeah. So yeah, you can. It's a web view, and you have access to things inside of it regardless. Here, I can show you Accessibility Inspector. So you can open the Accessibility Inspector. This is a close estimate for what things like Maestro use. So if we click on this, then we can, you see we're inspecting all over our website, but we can even do this over here. So again, this is a web view, but you'll notice we can grab like this text here, and we see it's like a simulator kit. Like this is a div that we just selected because it is accessible, and we have access to that through the accessibility inspector. And we can see different accessibility props related to it. So yeah, even within a web view, like web views got pretty good. I think like web views are really good for text things and for UI, like what we have here. But for the navigation, for getting this right, and just that deep elements, you want to keep that native, which is why even with DOM components, we tried to aggressively prevent navigation to other origins, and we tried to make all navigation go up through the router so that you only use it for components and not for full routing. But yeah, highly accessible. You can navigate throughout this. I mean, you can't really tab on the iOS simulator, but I think, yeah, with like the web stuff, you have all the same web accessibility. Yes, be not afraid. There are like this is a combination of a lot of really great technologies all working together. The pitfalls are reasonable pitfalls. So I outlined them like in great detail, like like what's missing, why you would want to go with something else. I think if you had any other web view approach, you would maybe be a little dancy with the pitfalls because you have no other option. But here it's like, just take your web code, pass it to an LLM and say, hey, make this React Native code. And then you just change that one component. So I think like because of that, we are incentivized to really like put the drawbacks like up front and center. And it's like, if those drawbacks are not acceptable to you, simply write natively, like drop the use DOM part. Okay, I see someone here mention something about matching the API of flatlist. I don't exactly see the context here, but it is worth mentioning things like flatlist. Those APIs will probably want to come up with new APIs because things like render items won't work in server components. So for instance, if we do flatlist here, render items is a function, and you can't pass a function to a client component. This is a client component. So we'll either need to kind of rework this, or we should come up with some API which is more like item or something, or like flatlist.item. And then inside of here, flatlist can just get the children and then do like react.children, and then it can do its own pagination on the objects. And then basically what you could do is you could say like, data.map, and then you can render out your items. And something like that will probably be a better API over time, this more declarative system. So if you're doing anything with flatlist, you'll have to move that over to the client side. Let's see, what else can we do here? We've got this. Okay, check out the light dark mode situation. I don't know if that's super interesting, if that's what we want to like get into with our last few minutes together here. Let's see, what do we got? I really want this to just have more detail. Let's keep prompting until it gets more detail. I think that's, yeah, that's what I want to spend the rest of my time doing. Let's see. Okay, let's think deeply about what we want to add here. And by think deeply, I mean, okay, let's add a section with video cards for the live stream. Add a section with info like info about the rocket. Do we have some of that? Yeah. Add a section about like the launch updates. Yeah, let's just make all the sections look iOS style. I just like iOS styled sections. I think those are like so clean. Like one thing we need is just a really nice component in here. We're given a list of strings. Like if I just say I have a string like apple, orange, bananas, make that look really good, right? Like make that section look, like it takes a lot to style these, and it's great that we can style them however we want. But I think what we really want is the ability for like, as at a baseline, given data, because it's so easy to fetch data with server components, given some data, give me a really beautiful looking and feeling UI. Highly confident we can do that. I think it's just we need to adjust for like this is the propagating effect of having such powerful data fetching at our disposal. would love to see it being deployed. Well, we cannot deploy server components while they are in developer preview. Technically, these can be deployed, but we're just working through a lot of we're just working through a lot of elements here, and we want to like get that story like down pat before sharing out too much of it. I know like this stream is sharing out a lot of how DOM and like server components all this work, but yeah, I think we'll save that for another time. A lot of good stuff in there though. Save this. Let's see. How's the UI look? Probably should have git commit before we just ran it in there. Okay, not bad. Okay, now we're talking. So we got some sections. Okay, got some more info. Can I explain how the deployment will work? Yes. So in the case of this app, what I would do in the future is I will come in here and I'll run EAS build, and then it will build the app, and I can also do auto submit, and then it will build and deploy. And as it does that build, it will package up the server and then create a server folder, deploy the server, and link the server URL, like, because it will be like a hashed URL. It will link the hashed URL to the application. So that particular build might not be the latest build. It might be like one on a branch, and that will be able to just automatically link up to the right server. And then you'll be able to go to, somewhere to inspect the connections, the network requests. So it should be very non-invasive. Like what we want here is to deliver all the functionality that I just showed you today with no changes to your existing workflow. Everything should just work. And that'll be the baseline. And then past that, you'll be able to configure every element of the pipeline over time as we keep building this out, and it'll become more of a generic primitive. Can we self-host the server? Yeah, so like we will figure out how to get this to be as automatic as possible, but the way we currently test this is against Express servers with like in Node. So the way the server works, let me see if I can show you. I'll do like an export here real quick to web. We can see the RSC code is being bundled, generated, output, creating the render info. I'll see if this works, but it might be, it might have some other issues here. Let's see. I'll just close down the server real quick. Okay, so that is technically the server component build, what you just saw with npx expo export. Here in the dist, just like you have with API routes today, there is a server folder, which has our index file, and then there is this, so the server code is all private, never gets to the user. And then we have this client folder, which has our JS code, so it has all the chunks from the project, and has our CSS code. So this is all of our Tailwind, all minified, ready for us. And then inside of the server, we've got our routes JSON, and this all just works like normal API routes. In memory, we create a custom API route, which can redirect requests for RSC, and that's it. So you can self-host this. Like example of how you self-host this is all of our E2E tests just run locally on with a Node server. So yeah, definitely like don't let that dissuade you from how great this stuff is. I don't know. Let's see. Let's just give this like a quick look. Yeah, I don't think that'll work right there. Yeah, so there's some elements which are just totally disabled here. Let's see, maybe we can put them back together again. HTML routes, index, explore. Yeah, so you hit this, go to that, I think. Okay, yeah. I'm not going to try to get that running too much. Another element to this will be this new expo serve command, which will just lets you start the production server locally, so you can like understand how it will work before deploying it. And we'll make a version of that which works on native as well. So yeah, the reason I'm not, it's not like this is a secret or anything. There's just a lot of details, and those details are like right up there at the tip of decision fatigue. And so if any of those details are wrong or incorrect, then that just like increases till you hit a Stack Overflow and you're like, okay, mentally, I just can't wrap my mind around this. I don't like it. So we want to reduce that to a point where it's very easy to explain the story and it's very easy to understand how the production story works. I think the best way to explain that is just nothing changes, everything keeps working. But additionally, you will be able to peel back all the layers and do whatever you need as well. That might take more time so that we can do whatever you want also very easy to do. Configure the endpoint. Yeah, so explain this a little bit early in the stream, but you can configure the root endpoint inside of the Expo router object. So instead of here, you do origin, and then this configures where the production native origin comes from. The other ones are all automatic. So yeah, the configuration is all like technically kind of available here. Let's see. One thing that's not clear to me, can I use server components functions for calling my non-Expo external APIs? And what is the relationship of server components to these API routes you showed earlier? My non-Expo external APIs. Yeah, so inside of a server component, this code just runs inside of Node when you're running locally. And if you deploy to Cloudflare, it's running inside of, but it just runs in a JavaScript engine. So you can make a fetch request to anything. Like obviously this space API is not the API that I'm like, this is not built with Expo. And you can interact with it just fine. We have DOM code, which is calling into native code. So you can really connect whatever dots you want in here. All right. Well, we've got like 25 more minutes. Let's keep grinding away at this app. And I'll keep an eye on questions. If there's any good ones, like I'll peek back through. Sorry if I didn't get to anyone's questions, by the way. So, I mean, so far, this is pretty good. I kind of want to put this on my phone, and then when I go to the launch, just like keep an eye on it. Like, I mean, yeah, this does what I want it to do. Like I can scroll through here. I can see the different like countdown timers. Can like open up this one. Whoa. Oh, right. Because I killed the dev server. Not a terrible error message, given we didn't write one. If you want to customize these error messages, by the way, easy to do. We can come into our app directory and we can just export error boundaries. So we can do like error boundary from Expo router. You can export like your own custom error boundary. So you could do like function error boundary. It just has to be an export named error boundary. And then you can render whatever UI you want, and it will get some props such as error and retry. And you can call the retry function to re-invoke the component. We've had these since the beginning, but they are far more useful now. So you can add these at like basically any layer and customize the error experience. So now if we were to, I think, go into here, let's try this. Let's try throwing an error when we tried to fetch. So I'll just say here. All right. So right from there, we have our error message here. This is inside of a generic error boundary, and we see it's being caught inside of the layout error boundary. So that means we can switch right over to Explore, and we have our Explore page. And then we can, I think there's supposed to be like a retry thing, but it's kind of caught under there. Really hard to get these to like work with just any sort of layout that you have. So yeah, we have the ability to basically configure any error message, whether it be a network error or server down error or server like rate limited error. And I think there's some pretty awesome stuff we can do with that as well. Like we can just, inside of Expo router, continue to improve those error boundaries that come in by default. So we can just account for more things. Like you should be able to build an app like this. And if you hit a rate limit maybe not a rate limit. That's kind of, but if you hit like a server down or server, like internal server error, Expo should be able to deploy, like have some error boundary, which is like a reasonable default that doesn't leave your users confused, and it doesn't like just make the app brick up. So yeah, a lot of like just so much room to improve the DX here. Very exciting. Let's keep prompting this bad boy. Actually, with some time left, I mean, the app is like good enough, right? Like we even have like, okay, we have all these stream things down here and these launch updates with like some penguins or whatever. Okay, I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, that's pretty sweet. And we can open each one of these. Oh man, okay. Yeah, so I'm already like pretty satisfied with this update. I mean, we even have like the Twitter one. Okay, this is great. This is cool. I'm a fan. 1 hour, 33 minutes to go. Let's just look at some other apps that I built, I guess, because this is like in a pretty good spot. So even with like all the prompting issues, we probably could have built this app in like 40 minutes, just thanks to how like good the stack is. So yeah, let's look at some other stuff. Another one that I've been playing with is this movie search demo. So inside of this movie search demo, this is just another app that I just prompted into existence over the weekend. Very similar structure and layout, but here I'm actually using like a guarded API. So inside of our .m folder, you see there's a tmdb API key with your environment variables. I'm afraid to do like a global search there because I think it'll just show my key inside of the thing here. But if we go to our functions, like in movie details, yeah, we see that we can just use the key and it's kept totally secret from the client apps. So yeah, let's try reloading this, opening. So yeah, here's this movie search app that I made, and it's like pretty sweet. So we can look at trending movies, trending TV shows, click on like Deadpool and Wolverine, fantastic loading states. We got all this. I think it's also, yeah, it's got some responsive colors in here, some dark mode, light mode. The key here to look at how much data is on the page. Like so much. We can come in here to like one of these actors like Hugh Jackman, open this up. We got this Hugh Jackman page. We can like show more data down here. Like there's just so much like in the world of Expo server components, it's a world of like fetch tons of data from anywhere and put it inside of any platform. And yeah, we're just displaying it. We can look at Zac Efron, look at some like Hairspray movie, and we've got the full breadcrumb up here of like all the things that we just ran through. These are native components. I think this actor page is a DOM component. Let's see. Actually, I might have moved them all over to native, but this all started as DOM components. So everything here, I just started by prompting Tailwind, DOM components, the works, and then eventually just moved it all over to native, just because I didn't want to have to deal with like DOM stuff. Let's see, let's go all the way back up to the top, and then we can search. So you can like look for Batman, see some Batman TV shows, Batman movies. I don't know why there are people named Batman, but okay, I guess there's, yeah, like this guy. So yeah, we can do like our searching as we're searching for things. Looks like we have some children with the same key. Just close that. We don't need to worry about that too much. Yeah, I can open source this one too. But yeah, this is just like something I did for fun. I did this for fun. It has like more data loading in than apps that I worked on at consultancies for months. If we look at the code down here, there's like almost nothing in here, right? Like we have a movie screen with like the body scroll view, stack, suspense, fetch the data. We have our skeleton loader down here. Again, down here, another skeleton loader. I prompted all of this to be generated. I'm using Expo Apple colors, which is a nice way to make your app feel really native, because you can do things like, you can do system gray, for example. Like these are all responsive native colors. So they will change automatically based on the platform. So like I can do just system label and it will go from black to white based on the platform, or based on like the appearance model. All right, last 15 minutes, here we go. And then here we've got, yeah, just if web, do no header styles, otherwise use this nice fancy header. And then our search page is pretty nice because inside of here, we've got the home screen. I added this use header search hook, which is just a nice way to work with the search params up here. So like the way that works is we just have a use effect, use navigation, and then we set like on change, on search button press, and on cancel press, set the search, and then return the value. Just makes it nicer to like set it up and get some search on the page. This all works also on iOS or on web and Android as well, because with React Navigation v7, we added the ability to do searches everywhere. So yeah, here you do Batman, see all of our Batman searches, Gotham, go over here, same deal. See some actors. So yeah, all this content works everywhere. If there was one thing I wish I could change, it would be we need more Tailwind stuff. We need more responsive styles so that we can like make it look more like a website when it's on a website sized page. And we have the URL updating up here. Outside of that, I mean, this is all pretty awesome. All this super secure, running on the server. So yeah, good stuff. And like pretty easy to make these examples. I prompted most of this into existence. There's an example which is up right now that you guys can look at. That's going to be on my GitHub. It's this Pokedex example. Yeah, so with this Pokedex, similar to what we just saw here, this one's a little bit different though, because I added like a recycling view where when you scroll to the bottom, we fetch more data. So it's kind of an advanced pattern here, but I just figured people would want to see it. So you can fetch data, we get the data, set next, set the items, and then we show them in a scroll view. And you get a Pokedex. But yeah, it's using like suspense and all that, so pretty nice. Yeah, let's see, stop the screen share. What do we got? All right, gonna go through some comments over here. Oh yeah, someone's saying, let's see, the app is super fast. Yes, indeed. I mean, it's so good we didn't even get into it, but yeah, like this. Yeah, I mean, well, these are coming over a dev server, but we do optimize the runtime to work with Cloudflare. So you should be able to, when the deployment's ready, deploy this to the edge and run it like distributed. So yeah, very fast, like super high performant. On top of just the best DX and the best UX, these will also be super fast apps. Jacob C. Yes, yeah, very cool. I am also I'm so excited for everyone else to try the server stuff too, because like this is all just stuff I'm throwing together like on stream and stuff. But like the stuff you can do here is pretty magical. Like we're definitely entering a space of going from like just building like, you know, elements on the page and animations, which are great, to a place of like, I want to create a rocket launch app or like a movie search app, right? Like we're thinking in terms of the entire holistic experience. So we're just really like leveling up what's possible with React Native. So the server components are hosted somewhere, and then your app somewhere, and then your app, website, or whatever calls it to fetch everything necessary. Yeah, so everything marked with use server gets extracted intricately into a server bundle. So basically, you'll have the embedded code and you'll have the server code. So everything here marked with use client, well, not everything, because some things can be split out and hosted. But all of your routes by default are embedded and they're offline by default, which is, it's a trade-off that we've made here. So like instead of the default of being like server components, one problem with that is that it's just kind of harder to get everything to be offline first by default. We can make that happen and we will make that happen. So in the future, you will be able to do server components by default and get even better offline performance. But right now we really want to optimize for like making sure your loading states and your error states and your layouts are all offline and shipped with the binary, so that when users open the app, it always feels, you know, snappy. And yeah, I think we've done like a pretty good job with that so far. Didn't have Hugh Jackman on my DOM components bingo card. Well, you know, expect the unexpected. Let's see. Will the countdown timer update correctly if you switch to a different app and then come back? Probably not, because I think we just set like a timer or something. But Expo does have background APIs and like React Native. All of this is possible. So if you want to make it work better, but maybe the one that we generated while the model was acting up is not quite going to work across it. I mean, yeah, I think it was doing like an interval, so it's probably going to pause in the background. But if the component remounts, then it remounts from the date, and then it starts counting up from the date. So yeah, I guess if it were to refresh, or if you were to refresh the component, it would keep working. Something really nice about DOM components actually is that you could just add pull to refresh to like any component. And when you add pull to refresh, what that does is it will like just re-render the DOM component. So if you have something which is like doing a lot of data fetching, like for instance, in this launch app, if we kept that in DOM components, we could just go in and add pull to refresh to the DOM object. And then you have pull to refresh and it will remount the server component, refetch it, and re-render it. So obviously, like maybe if you go truly native, you have more, like you can do more things to that experience. You can cache things a bit better. But just as a baseline, really great data fetching by combining DOM components and server components. Will you share the demo you did with OpenAI building your server components? Showed it at a conference? Yes. So that demo actually, if you notice, like inside of Expo SDK 52, there are little API changes that we made. Those all make it so that demo technically runs verbatim inside of Expo Go. That is all definitely possible. That will happen. In fact, I can show you guys right now. I mean, I don't have, the code is not ready yet. Like when it gets closer to, like when it's out of developer preview, yes, definitely. Here, well, the last few minutes we can we can do some of that. Close this one down, go into our chat. Let's see, hopefully this is still working. I see there's some like commits in here, so it might be a little wonky. Let's try. Yeah, little wonky. Yeah, so here's the app, and it is running inside of Expo Go, the AI app. Let's try getting the weather. Let's see if that works. Yeah, wants to know the city, Austin. Show me the city of Austin. It looks like there is a bit of an error down here requiring a module. Okay, so that is going to be, let's try using the latest Expo CLI. I think there was some issue. I found it, fixed it, and then issue in there. All right, nope, not fixed there. So the issue is like related to re-rendering multiple server actions which import other server actions. I can probably just do bun install, and that should probably get us the latest Expo. We can try that. We'll just do Linux Expo, see if that gets this running. Whoa. Try reloading that. Fetching, say like list new movies. Yeah, so list new movies, you know, works. So this is all like, this is like queried using AI model. And so we say like, when it asks to list new movies, then render this card here. So you've got the movies card, and then we can say like movies card inside of here. And yeah, then it just renders this on the server, streams it down. Pretty easy to do, like in hindsight, now that we've looked at server components for the last couple hours. Let's see, does this work if we do that again? Create an event. I think the bug is actually still in there. Yeah, whatever, we'll fix that. Easy to fix. Thing is like when it goes back and recurses into it, it clears the modules out of the Metro cache to make HMR possible. And so I just reverted that, and it's already in a fix, which is solved. But yeah, little things like that is why it is not currently public by default, but we'll get there. We will get there. That is kind of, in my opinion, the magnum opus. Like when that's launched, then you do it. Like when I built that demo, man, there were so many things I wanted to do with it. Like there's things I was like cutting from it, because I added like Google Home, so I could be like, because I use Google Home and all the home equipment, and I just don't love the Google Home app, because I want to say things like turn off all the downstairs lights, but I don't have them in like a downstairs group. But it's like clear if you listed out all of the lights and gave it to an LLM, it would know which lights are downstairs. So I like built all that, and I just cut it out because it was like weird to the ergonomics of being on stage and being like, show me my home cameras, and then showing cameras from inside my house. But yeah, you can basically just build whatever you want with that, and it's pretty sweet. So I am very very excited for that to get in the hands of people. We could probably do a whole stream about that when it's ready. All right. Well, if there are any questions here that I am missing, feel free to tweet them at me, Bacon Bricks on Twitter or X. And yeah, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Give DOM components a try. Try Expo SDK 52. You can try the developer preview of server components. Lots of room to help library authors, like React Native SVG is one that come to mind that should have like use clients in it. And yeah, give us some feedback. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Take care.